If by some chance, some stroke of luck, or some act of God, you have stumbled upon this broadcast, you are listening to The Chivalry Chronicles with your host, DLH, David, and me, Jaime. I hope you're ready, because I know we are. So let's get into it. There you go. We're back again from the friendly confines of the Chivalry Studio, aka my office upstairs. Thank you guys for coming. How's it going? I hope everyone's having a great weekend. For the listeners out there, I know we said it last time, but there is a link to send us a text. Send us a text. The other thing that we have on there is a link that says support the show. And if you so feel inclined,
give me $1.
Buy us a beer. You know.
Or six.
I promise I'll share it with the guys. But click on it. Support the show. But anyway, today we were talking about guilty pleasures. So the topic is, come on guys, fess up. What are the things that you do, aka guilty pleasures, that makes you feel better, that other people would find, or they would be surprised, it may be a little judgmental. So, I mean, I think, well, what we come to find is that maybe David says he doesn't have any, but I think he's withholding some guilty pleasures.
Some secrets today.
I think he's saving it. He's saving it for material for the podcast.
Who knows?
But well, we'll start with David. David,
I have none.
You have none. Zero. Nothing.
Not that I can think of. I'm thinking as we go along here. Maybe there is something I'm happy to share. I mean, the stuff that you guys know about me or that have clowned me on. I'm not ashamed of it. So
we've already gotten one out of you.
What, the yacht rock thing?
And it's terrible. No. Don't listen to it.
No, guys, I'm telling you, Yacht Boy Summer is the album.
Look it up. If they sponsor us.
And it is really good.
So that is
really good.
So that's what I wanted to say. That is a guilty pleasure.
Okay, definitely, because that was painful to hear.
But see, to me, a guilty pleasure, you're kind of not really surfacing it. I have no shame in saying.
Yeah, what we're saying is that keep that shit to yourself.
Well, you know what? That might be it. He doesn't recognize it.
Yeah, he doesn't have that filter.
Wait,
he doesn't.
His filter's
he's
not
always
on.
Like my daughter says, he's always out of pocket. So.
Wait.
That's where I live, out of pocket. That's why everything is okay.
Whenever the dude hits top tier on iTunes Store or whatever, or on Apple Music, which I believe he did. Hey, Yacht Rock, Yacht Boy Summer's the album.
No, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
So that is a.
You can't say terrible, DLH. You haven't even listened.
You did, yeah. I heard the
Which
last
one?
time when we played it off air.
Yeah,
you played it for me. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Why were you dancing then?
Because his ears were bleeding.
Yeah, that wasn't
dancing.
That wasn't dancing. I was writhing around.
That was
in
his
pain.
guilty pleasure, is dancing, sir.
It inspired this topic today.
So when we were talking about this, David is like, I don't have any. And I was like, bro, Yacht Rock.
Yacht Rock.
That's your guilty pleasure. That's at least one that he's fessed up to.
Yeah.
So I want him to fess up with some other ones, but we'll move over to DLH.
I think for Dave, drinking clearance beers on the fence.
No, so he's bringing this up because the other day I was at HEB. There was this one aisle that I was headed down, and at the end of that aisle is clearance. And there was some craft beer, several which I've had before. The 6-packs were like all less than $3. All of them were like $2.68 or something like that. So I stocked up significantly, and I've had some. And I even picked up some $1.75 water, hop water. I've never had that before, but if I'm going to have a non-alcoholic drink, I'm picking up that hot water from now on. But I'm not paying the $8, the $8 that they charge for it on the regular.
And just so everyone is clear, when you were talking about craft beer, what you in the clearance section, what you meant was skunky.
No, no, no. I guess you'll never
why
know.
did it have like a
I didn't
green
bring it. I
green
didn't-
film around it and shit? You know, like you brought it in, you're like, ew.
Hey, we didn't come here to discuss
There's
this.
this particular.
We didn't
aroma.
come here to discuss this.
Okay, so let's get back to guilty pleasures.
Focus.
DLH, do you have any guilty pleasures?
I
And now that we've kind of,
Broke the
gone
ice.
through with David's, that we brought those to light because he didn't know they were, but they are. What are some that you can think of that you do personally?
Yeah, I have one that I believe is a guilty pleasure. I think that people may be surprised, considering that a lot of the other things I like are in the manly realm.
And I'll have another one that I know for a fact
Oh,
that
see, he
that
just thought of one
David
for you.
that David has.
All right, for me, it's watching Hallmark Christmas movies.
Okay,
Right now,
like name one. I'd have to.
oh man, look, and now
No.
this is what makes it a guilty pleasure, right? I love all things like Christmas, and around my house, I'm the one who brings a lot of that Christmas stuff out. This is
Okay.
my favorite time of the year, right? I love all that stuff. I'll play Christmas music all the time, all this stuff, right? But my wife and I, we started one time. I don't know. We had it on that. We went by the Hallmark Channel. I think it was because there was nothing else on in the moment. It was like whatever. There's a Christmas movie,
Right.
and we actually got into it because we started making fun of the premise. Because Hallmark movies, they're always going to tie it up in a neat little bow by the time you reach the end. And then we would watch the next one and we start making fun of the storyline or whatever it is. But then little by little, it just became something we started to do together. So my wife and I, we watch Hallmark movies.
Yeah. Okay. So you're using the wife force field.
Leverage.
Well, what I would say
Is
is
that what you're doing?
I would say that.
Come on, you're better than that.
I would say that in this particular case, I was either a slightly higher percentage or this would be 50-50, right? Now, I have seen every single thing in the Sex and the City realm, right?
Okay.
That was my wife directed. She wanted to do it. I went on the journey with her. I did all of that.
This Hallmark stuff you said earlier.
Hallmark.
You're the one that stepped into it.
I believe I'm the one who did that and started that, right? But we started doing this together. But now it's actually reached a point where it doesn't even need to be Christmas time. Sometimes we'll watch a Hallmark movie and there's like Hallmark mystery, and
It's terrible.
they're all cheesy. Like you can forecast the plot and the ending, most of the time before you're even halfway through the movie, but we'll still keep doing it and watch it until we reach the end of that. And there will be sometimes, this is where I know it's like me and a guilty pleasure, is because sometimes she's not even in the house. And when I'm working from home that day and I need background noise, I'll put it on the Hallmark Channel.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll let a movie, because when they're doing reruns, I already know they're movies I have seen.
Yeah.
So it'll just play in
Really?
the background. I can't have it on
So
something
so
live
it's a
that's
stop
unfolding.
down. It's a stop down movie.
I wouldn't. I would say for me, if we're talking about stop down, that would be a stop down channel or a stop down.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know that I could put it on that station most of the time. And I say most of the time now, it was all of the time, but right now they have a reality show on there to find the
Right.
next Hallmark movie person. And I don't like reality shows. So I avoid that one. But aside from that, yeah, Hallmark Channel. I'll put it on that.
Wow. I think we saw one last year, my wife and I. She was like, "Oh, let's watch this." And then, so I am using that cover, and I did see that, and it was not that great. So
Well, none of them are that great.
really? So that's
a-
what you just know that they're going to suck.
Well, yes, but there's if you can accept that there's going to be like cheesy acting, the storyline is repetitive, right? All of these
Right.
things have happened. They just change minutia.
Yeah.
But you're watching the same storyline over and over and over again. But when you do get some acting in there and they at least even in a cheesy way or they come across as endearing, they get the sentiment to you that you want to feel. And that's the thing is I think because of my studies and the things that I have done in that realm, because I'm so anti drama, This one is a fictitious drama for me because I know
Right.
that in the Hallmark Channel, all of that is manufactured. They're going to tie it up in a neat bow, right? So
how many Kleenex boxes do you go through?
well, I don't.
And do you cry?
I will on occasion, but we talked about that recently, and I think that the majority of the time, if something is going to evoke tears from me, it's usually drama that is like a conflict within the family. It would have to be like there would be something contentious between the daughter and the mother.
Or
Yeah, it could be, but it could be like a family issue that is being addressed throughout the movie, and when of course they reconcile that, but they have to deal with the problem in the plot. Those are things in particular that might evoke tears from me.
right.
I don't exactly know why. But they do.
Yeah. So I think we probably need to do a bit of defining of guilty pleasures. And I think it's going outside of what you normally do. Like if you listen to a particular type of genre and then you kind of go away from that and you enjoy it, but you kind of don't want to, so let's say you're in a car and you're listening to a particular song. And then you get to a stoplight, you kind of turn it down because you don't want people to listen to you. They're like, oh shit, what is he listening to, right? Because I know for a fact that David has heard a Justin Bieber song and loves that song. And he confessed that to me a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And
yes.
he's like,
Yeah.
so that is a guilty pleasure. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But that's one
Is it
one
though?
song, maybe even two songs.
It's listening to an artist that's not, you're like, that's a good song. Like,
Yeah,
I like that song.
they're in pop culture. I'm not sure that would be a guilty pleasure.
It is if it's not part of like your makeup, right? If you're listening to it and you enjoy listening to it, but it's not really what you do. Because here's why I say that, and I'm messing with David, but he's like, man, that's a really good song.
Yeah.
he felt he had to say that. Like if you're in my car and I play Wu-Tang, I'm not gonna say, man, this is a really good album. I'm not gonna try to justify why I'm listening to it. I'll tell you, I was in College Station with my brother, and I think it was our fraternity's like our chapter was like a 30-year anniversary. Anyway, we get into the car, right? And as soon as he turns the car on, like the music comes on, and he's like, "Oh man, he went to go to like press stop,
Speed it up.
and I forgot who it was. It was like who's the girl with the hair that just like
Sia?
Sia.
Yeah.
Yes, that's who it was. He was like, man, my sister tripping and stuff. She borrowed my car yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're like, bruh,
Yeah.
come on now.
Yeah.
You listen to Sia. It's okay, bro. Like you can listen to Sia. I don't listen to Sia. Like
I don't even know who Sia is.
uh,
I sit in a I
you
sit
would
in
know
a
her if you
Sia.
heard her song.
you would know her if you know her. I
Really?
remember her because
I may know the song.
yeah,
for sure.
my daughter
Yeah.
did a dance routine when she was in high school. And so in dance, they do that routine pretty much all year. And so it kind of gets burned. But oh my God, we clowned him so hard. He's like, man, my sister tripping, dog. She borrowed my car and left her Sia. but that's the essence of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Like you feel a little shame for liking it,
And
right?
you try to hide it.
And you
Yeah.
try to hide it.
Like Dave, I'm pretty convinced he hasn't admitted it, but that he likes to listen to Islands in the Stream on repeat.
That is what we are.
So along the same lines, that's I think it is when you feel a little shame that like if the guys are coming over and you're just trying to like change the channel, or like you're watching like what you said Hallmark movies or whatever. Like personally, like I like Hamilton, right? I really like it. Like the first time I heard it, my
Talking
son.
about Hamilton the musical,
Yes,
and that's a guilty pleasure.
for me it is.
Yeah, don't be
Oh.
playing that around me.
Really?
Yeah,
Like,
for
you
me
know
it
what?
is.
I tried to watch it.
don't-
I thought it was trash.
I didn't view it that way because to me the soundtrack, if we're talking about
It's
that,
great.
it's one of the best.
I
love it.
listen to it all the time.
I will put it on in the car, like it's
Yeah.
it's just music.
But because it's not something that it's in my wheelhouse. It's not something that people would say Jaime likes Hamilton. Like it's just not part of who people think I am, right? The first time I heard it, my son used to play it all the time. I was like, "What is this?" And then you just kind of put it away, right? And then one day we watched it, and I was like, okay, that's really good. And then I found out it was Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I was like, he's Hispanic. He's like, I'm all about that. That's cool. But the soundtrack itself, I loved it. I listened to it. I listened to it for so long. My kids made fun of me, and what kind of made me a little mad is my son was like, Dad, can we listen? I was like, bro, I got it from you.
Yeah.
Like, you were the first one to introduce that to me.
Actually, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's an awesome soundtrack.
This is how bad it was. My family, a couple of years ago, my birthday party theme was Hamilton. They gave me a Hamilton shirt. They gave me Hamilton socks, and I was like, okay, y'all getting a little crazy. I got a Hamilton coffee cup. I was like, I know I like it, but they were like, no, you really like it. And I was like, let's calm down a little bit.
It's awesome.
So that's...
Especially Cabinet Battle number 2.
Yes.
Go listen to Cabinet Battle number 2, right? You must be out of your goddamn mind.
The whole thing is
Trash.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Along the same lines, because then, I was like, who is this Lin-Manuel Miranda? Like, and once again, I'm like, Wikipedia, Lin-Manuel, boom. And then when Encanto came out, genius.
He wrote that.
Genius.
For the soundtrack.
Yes.
But he also did In the Heights before that.
In the Heights, which I'd never watched, but I was like, I'm good with that.
It's good.
But
you should see it, though. You would like it.
Those are two that when growing up, I listened to metal, like heavy metal. And then in the mid-90s, when heavy metal started dying out, I kind of went to hip-hop and like hardcore hip-hop, that type of stuff. And then, you kind of stay in that realm. Like whenever you go back to who you are, I still listen to 80s metal and 90s hip-hop. Like that's my wheelhouse, And so when you introduce Hamilton, I was like, okay, I liked it. But it's not something that, if my brother, my oldest brother, the ultimate alpha male would be like, man, that's a little girly. But that's how he is, right? Other artists that I'll listen to are like Billie Eilish. And this is from my daughter because she went to go see Billie Eilish like probably like six years ago. And I was like, okay, I was driving her to Austin because it was Austin City Limits. And I said, I'm always of the mindset of, if we're going to a concert, let's listen to the playlist so you can kind of get revved up for the concert. And so I was listening to her all the way there. And then she was getting out with her friend. I was like, hey, what's the best Billie Eilish album? Because I was going to drive back. I said, I'm going to listen to it. So I like listening to music. And so I was like, she's really good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she's a legit star. And I got into this whole argument with one of the bros about, is she a musical genius or not? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, no, there's not enough work. And I was like, no, she's up there.
Yeah.
So anyway, people like that. And I don't want to just say female artists, but kind of along the same lines, like a Carrie Underwood, a Taylor Swift, because my wife listens to Taylor Swift all the time, like every day, just about. And so,
how much?
Every day. I would probably go downstairs and it's probably on right now. We should do that study one day. But stuff like that. I think you mentioned movies like or shows like Sex and the City. Yeah. I did watch that. And for me it was like, it's kind of like you're in a room that you shouldn't be in.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, what's going on? Do they really feel that way?
Yeah.
Like,
is this how women talk?
Yeah,
all the time?
Yeah. Man, Samantha's a hoe. Yeah. So I think when it's stuff like that you're like, oh yeah, I watch The Sopranos, like, which I did watch Sopranos too, but I did watch that show, and it did feel like you're kind of a fly on the wall, and that's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're
in a weird space.
Yeah. Other stuff like, well, I thought the Hallmark movies. We were kind of joking about this. That DLH and I have the wife force field, have the wife kind of this is why I did it.
Built
you know
in,
what I'm saying?
built-in excuse.
It's a built-in excuse. And then we also have kids. So we're kind of talking to David, like, you should have, I think you have some, you just don't know it yet. And so, I mean, do you think, now that we've talked about some, is there some in your wheelhouse right now that you can think of?
No, not that really that surface or come to mind. I don't purposely seek out that type of stuff. I kind of stay within my realm because I'm generally by myself, right? So it's everything that I'm typically accustomed to is what I do. Maybe if you're going to say taking care of your plants and that kind of stuff, like I do like having live plants in my house. Yeah, I don't do a great job with all of them, but the ones that are have lived, I have at least 3 or 4 that I've had for multiple years. And I mean, I do that kind of stuff, but it's more just to not, even though it's a bachelor pad type house, I don't want it to be so bachelor pad that it looks like I'm still an active frat boy.
I would think because it is a bachelor pad, you would be more apt to have guilty pleasures, right? Because you can do whatever you want.
Well, yeah, but
true.
You know what? I'm actually thinking a little bit the opposite. So I think this might be something good to ask even the listeners, right? If they can message us in whatever form, text or through social media, by telling us, not that I want you to blame things on your significant other, but perhaps some of the guilty pleasures, but perhaps some of the guilty pleasures we have is because of that open avenue, right? And if we were single, and this gets into some of those, for those of you out there that are single, maybe you just haven't had that avenue open, and so you do what is programmed, right? Like your usual routine doesn't put you in those situations.
So the reason I said that, because my little brother, right, the younger brother, he was on. He came on as a guest a couple episodes ago. He lives in an apartment all by himself. He's basically does whatever he wants to do, right? But he gets into so much other stuff. Like he'll text my wife. He's like, "Man, that one Taylor Swift song is pretty good," and then discuss the lyrics. Like, and I'm like, why are you listening to Taylor Swift like as much as you do? Or like, that's why I put Taylor Swift and Carrie Underwood, because he's like, man, Carrie Underwood is really good. And I was like, I agree. She's a really good artist, and I'll listen to some of her stuff. But it surprises me sometimes the stuff that he listens to, that is not what he normally listens to. And I thought it's because he's by himself, lives by himself, and you can delve into all these other aspects, right? I didn't think about it the other way, that if you're by yourself, you're just going to listen to
you're gonna
what
be
you normally listen to.
Well, and this is why I guess I think this way along the lines of what Dave does, is because when my wife and kids are gone and it's just me,
right?
I eat the foods that I know I like, right? Whether I make it or order it. And when I get to control the TV, I go and I watch the movies I have already seen.
Absolutely.
My stop down movies.
Yeah.
And I'll
Extraction 1 and 2.
And I'll actually go and look for it, right?
Yeah.
And then or if I'm going to go and see a movie I haven't seen, it's not going to be in some brand new genre or something like that. It's going to be like recently, the last time this happened and I was at home by myself, I had seen, going back to Denzel Washington, right?
Yeah.
I had seen The Equalizer, but I hadn't seen 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're out.
And so I went to go and watch Equalizer 2. And those are like movies that I feel like I can't watch when, Victoria or the kids are home, because they want to do other things. So I have to have this set, I guess, list of movies I want to watch when they're not there. And that, because it's so infrequent, that list is pretty damn long.
Right.
But I will go to Disney and like, what Marvel movies haven't I seen?
Yeah.
And I'll finish up whatever is left.
Deadpool, Wolverine, is that on Disney?
That one's out now. Yes. So
yeah, it's been playing nonstop in the house here. This morning, my son and I got up to work out at 8:30, so it was there, and then it played on, and then we came in here and I watched it. It was on last night. But so other examples of guilty pleasures is like binge watching. Just binge watching itself. Do you binge watch, David?
Yes. Usually,
Okay.
usually whenever if there's a show that I'm into, because I do feel guilty sitting and just watching TV. Usually it's like, okay,
There's a guilty pleasure.
I watch the show. I'm just going to finish it today.
Right.
So tomorrow I don't have an excuse to be on the TV.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely do that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
usually if all the episodes are there, it's like, I'm going to power through this because I don't want to be sitting here tomorrow. I want to get it done and over with.
Okay. Other examples are like social media stalking.
Stalking?
No.
Yeah.
No,
singing loudly in the car. Do you sing
I'll
loudly?
sing right here. Islands in the stream.
That's a terrible
Insults you.
freaking guilty pleasure. I know one guilty pleasure you have is buying shit. That's a guilty pleasure, I think.
Yeah, but see, to me, guilty pleasures are things that you generally don't want to say out loud. I'll tell you, I bought this, or I obviously
I think
tell
it's
you
because
guys
you're
do it.
always out of pocket. You don't have that.
That's right, dude. It's because you don't have a filter.
But yeah, I'll buy things and I'll flip them.
Have you read
stuff like
books that you? No, you don't read books.
You don't read books either.
I'll read.
Yeah.
I read a lot of news. I love
Like, that's
reading
one-
political news and stuff like that.
Like I read a couple of books that were suggested by friends, right? And like the 50 Shades of Grey, I read that first book, and yeah, it's pretty trashy.
Yeah. I read it too.
Yeah.
I didn't move on to the others.
I did
because
not.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, it was very. Yeah, I'll
You
leave it
guys
at
are
that.
picking up those paperbacks with the the guy with the long blonde hair.
Well, there's a bunch of them
I can't remember that
downstairs
guy's name.
because my
because you bought them.
no, because the lady that's the author, Letty, knows her, and she lives in this neighborhood, and so she writes graphic, like those type of novels.
Yeah.
And so she'll drop off her new novel to Letty. I haven't read them, but they're downstairs. I forgot what they are, and they're always
Why they got your
like
fingerprints on them?
like a cowboy, like with a girl. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't read those. The closest I got was the 50 Shades of Grey, and that was close enough. And that was pretty. It was a little off. When the movie came out, I was like, yeah, it's kind of same thing.
So Jaime, we DLH, and of course I was supposed to have none, and we've already shared that three
You
of
have a
mine. Now,
shitload.
what's yours specifically? Because now you started pivoting to the defining
He was trying
the
not to
guilty
admit
pleasures.
it.
But
No,
what
what
are yours?
I said Hamilton.
specifically?
I said Hamilton and Canto.
Yeah, but those aren't guilty, I don't think.
Well, they are to me because that's not my. I don't listen to.
Maybe it's not to me because I'm in the same boat.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't. I mean, I'm not a musical person. Like I don't listen to musicals or that's something that's the first time I've really listened to one and liked it.
I don't think I view it that way because especially in having lived in New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a musical. I never went to go see Rent. Hamilton
Rent was the other one.
I
yeah.
wish I did, but I did go see Rent, and Rent was the start of my. I liked it so much more than I thought I would.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
And
I
Rent was
do
the
not
other
like
one.
musicals. To this day, I still don't like it. The closest thing to liking a musical was Isaiah and I went to see Temptations. I don't remember. It was Temptation something, but it was like the story of the Temptations. And that one I did like because it was more, they're singing the Temptation songs that I like to begin with. And they sing it well. So that's the closest thing to liking a musical. Otherwise, other musicals, I'm like, get me out of here quick.
no, man,
And then that includes Hamilton because I did try to watch Hamilton. It's
it's
just
so
a musical.
good.
So
it's not
when
me.
I met Letty is when I started. She loved Rent,
Rent, yeah, is
And-
awesome.
and she used to listen to it all the time. And so when I was like, okay, that's not bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I set that aside. Like, I don't go looking for musicals. For some reason, when Hamilton came out, you saw it everywhere. Presidents were going to it. I think Obama went, and then whenever who was the vice president for Trump?
Pence.
Pence. When Pence went, they booed him. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so it's catching. It became pop culture, right?
Yeah.
And it became a big thing. And so when it becomes so big that it starts getting into your sphere, you're like, okay, let me watch it. And I was like, that's pretty good. Like, I like it. It's good.
But Rent, I think for me, not to just stay on musicals, but this will be that last part. When I went to go see Rent, it was my first experience with a live musical.
Yeah.
And I went in with not a negative attitude, but I was already expecting to not like it.
Rent?
Rent.
Okay.
But when I saw it, I was like, wow. I was wowed.
Yeah.
Right. And since that point, I have seen many musicals, but Rent had remained my favorite the entire time until Hamilton.
Really?
And then Hamilton, it was like the soundtrack, and then having seen, I only saw it on TV when they released it on Disney, but having seen the actors that originally did it that are on the soundtrack, right, and the way that they performed it, it like so much
great.
talent and passion in there. And I will tell you now, so if we're going to talk about this as a guilty pleasure and the tearful elements, Philippa Sue is the one who, when she gasps when their son dies, man, like that starts making me tearful. And it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, it gets me every single time.
It's really good. It's really good. So when I heard Rent, like I never saw, and then the movie came out, right? There was a movie that came out.
Yeah.
And the movie really wasn't that great.
No, the movie. I mean, the movie's great because it's Rent, but it was. How would you put that verb? Hollywoodized, right? Mm-hmm. By having Taye Diggs and Rosario Dawson and that sort of stuff. So,
and the really great singer that she was in. What's her name? She's like super famous, but I can't remember her name. Beyonce? No.
That's the only one super famous I know.
But it wasn't because you're talking about the.
She was in the movie, I thought.
521,600. Right? You're talking about that. I don't know who sang that in that.
No, wasn't she in Frozen? Same one.
Oh yes, yeah. But that's that's
what's her face?
Idina Menzel.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
The one that John Travolta messed up her name.
Right. Adele Dazeem or something like that he said. It was Idina Menzel. Yes.
Yeah. So of course, I think where we're getting confused is that a guilty pleasure is like if my daughter said, I love Hamilton, they're like, okay, you're okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. But it's a guilty pleasure if it's not something people would
think you're into.
Because you're always watching Clint Eastwood movies and like the things that are just manly, right?
Yeah, and
I think that's what makes it a guilty pleasure for me is because whenever I get to watch my stop down movies, Tombstone and things with Bruce Willis and like all of those things.
I've always affiliated you with Hallmark, bro.
And then I'll watch Hallmark.
Yeah. So the other thing that like reality shows, like trashy reality, like the Kardashians. Did you watch? That's a guilty pleasure.
I draw the line at I don't like any reality shows whatsoever.
Like the one where the housewives of so and so.
None.
There was one that my wife and I started watching, and it was called Tejanas or Texacanas and it was people in San Antonio, like all these wives that were like affluent Mexican, Hispanic. And of course, tables flip over and all that stuff. It was like one season, and I think they canceled it.
I can't do it at all. I tell you, like Hallmark started doing that reality show to find the next Hallmark, leading man or whatever it is. And even in that one, Victoria told me she watched an episode, and then so the other night she put on another episode, and I was listening to it, right, and doing my own work and stuff in the background. But after that episode was over, I was like, okay, we're going to change the channel, right? Because it sounds like a reality show, and I can't stand the sound. If it replicates the sound of a reality show, I'm automatically out.
You're out.
I can't stand reality TV.
What about eating half a gallon of ice cream? Is that a guilty pleasure?
Hell no. That is a
That's just a Sunday.
that's just something you should do. Now, you got to be strategic when you do it. But, I mean, but do it.
Do it after a workout.
Whatever, whenever you want to do it. I'm not somebody, and I am a fitness professional. I don't believe in
Cheat
earning.
days?
I don't believe in earning what you're going to eat. Right? Follow the 80-20 rule. Most of the time, do your 80% good stuff, 20% do your bad. You decide when that bad stuff is, and sometimes that bad includes eating half a tub of ice cream.
Okay. What about the guilty pleasure that involves buying shit you don't need? What do they call? My daughter calls it something when you just go out and buy something. It's like
Binge?
no, it's like you're shopping to make yourself feel better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a thing.
I forgot. She has a term for it because she'll say.
I'm pretty positive there is a term for it.
Yeah.
But buying things to make you feel better is an actual thing.
Yes.
It does exist. I think that as long as you can afford it,
most people can't.
then do your thing. If you can't afford it, then you need to find a substitute for that, right?
Yeah, but would that be considered it's a guilty pleasure? Like you bought all kinds of shit you don't need.
I think it could be.
I think it is because
especially if you can recognize that it is.
Because if somebody asks you, did you just buy 3 freaking like Yeti cups?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going to go along that lines, then I would say that for me, it's probably purchasing bags, like
Purses?
Bags.
Yeah, bags.
I've seen your bags. They're purses, bro.
No. Like, I mean, you see this.
Yeah, it's a purse.
Get out of here.
Is that Gucci?
That's a
Gucci?
That's a
Gucci
satchel.
bag. That's
It's
a 511
Gucci
tactical.
bag.
Just for reference here, my purse that he's calling it here is a 511 tactical backpack.
No, that doesn't.
Oh, that's what you asked me about.
with a whole Molly system.
Why does they got it like a LV thing on there?
on here?
Ooh, it's Louis Vuitton, baby. You got that kind of money, that doctor money.
But anyway, I bought this bag recently because I wanted to have something that
Nordstrom
suited my needs for the time being. But it's like the 12th bag I own.
Yeah,
I have a bag for like every instance.
I just bought a brand new gym bag. I just typed in Google 2024 best gym bag.
Right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the bag I've been using.
Yeah.
But then at some point I find a problem with it and I'm like, you know what? Let me Google this one little issue.
I had a gym bag. Well, it was a backpack that my son had like 6 years ago or almost 10 years ago. And, kids, right? You buy them a backpack every year and then the next year you got to buy them another backpack just because. And I was like, these are pretty good. So I used one for like all my like gun stuff, like ammo stuff. I just packed it in there when I would go to the shooting range.
Yeah.
And then the other one I used as my gym bag. And actually is the one that I took to when we went to Guadalupe Peak, all those Spartan races. It's just a blue Under Armour bag. And then the other day I just put it over my shoulder and all my shit fell out. Like it just strung over the gym floor, right? And I'm like, what the hell? Well, the zipper had just the zipper busted. And I'm like, hell. Like I don't like buying shit just to buy it. Well, I do. But this stuff, I was like, now I have to buy it. Like I hate when I have to buy something because, if you want to go back. So I just looked up, and Amazon had one for like $35. So I was like, done. But stuff like that, buying stuff that you don't need, that can be considered a guilty pleasure.
Okay, let me tell you though, because you talked about firearms. Now, I don't carry one, but this 511 backpack
has one
that I got.
This LV one that you got right
This one right here, right?
Yeah.
It has for people that do conceal carry.
Hey, look.
Check. Yeah. Check this out though. Right here in the middle, it has a breakaway pocket.
Really?
Velcro, where you just put in your
This one.
firearm. No, that's zippered. This one is a breakaway where you can
Really?
just reach in and it's Velcroed. It comes apart. It's specific to that.
So for our listeners, he pulled up his Louis Vuitton bag.
Get out of here.
You heard the unsnapping of
was
velvety sounding
hook and loop
Velcro. That velvety sounding Velcro.
He pulled up his never full Louis Vuitton.
Okay, Lou, please. I don't have anything that is expensive. I don't.
That microphone was pretty expensive.
Even this I got on sale. I don't pay full price for anything if I can help it.
I was listening to no, actually I was on Twitter, and somebody had posted they need to make podcast equipment a lot more expensive to get some of these clowns off the air. And I took that personally. I said, "Hey, we think we do a good job."
Yeah, I don't think they're talking to us.
For a minute, and I said, "Nah."
Is this? You know what? Is this a guilty pleasure?
It is a guilty pleasure.
What, podcasting?
Us doing this podcast.
Yes. No.
Is it?
Yes. No.
You don't sound
I
like
don't
you've
think
made
so.
up your
Wait,
mind.
so we
don't think
just
so.
need one listener to make a.
I don't think so.
A contribution, and then we're professionals.
I don't think so, because
Podcasters.
it's something we're not ashamed of.
Even though we're going to buy
I'm
beer
not
with
ashamed of it. No.
But have you posted that you're a podcaster?
I have.
You
No.
consider yourself a
I have,
podcaster?
because y'all remember y'all got
Spammed.
Y'all got spammed. Y'all got
David,
spammed. Or
have you posted that you're a podcaster?
No, I wouldn't consider myself a podcaster.
and I have personally like promoted. Some of the people that have heard our podcast is people that like I can't at work I like actually promote it.
Yeah.
But when I do
just
talk
leave
about
stickers
it, because,
everywhere.
well, see, because I have my sticker for where I work, right?
Yeah.
And on the other side, I have my podcast. So they're like, "What is that right there?" And then when I tell them I podcast, I tell them where it is, and then they go listen. And I've gotten some feedback from that.
Nice.
So
that's the other thing. Now we're gonna wrap up this podcast, this particular episode. But one that we need to do that I think would be kind of cool and fun is that I get a bunch of texts when people listen to the podcast, people that I know personally and people that know both of you guys too. And I get a lot of, you need to tell DLH to so-and-so, and you need to tell David to so-and-so. And I wonder, and I'm pretty sure you guys get
text
something
me
similar.
directly, fool.
Yeah. Say it to my face.
Say it to my face. Say it with your chest.
Do y'all get feedback and kind of dirt? Like David, do you get dirt on me and DLH from people that you know that listen to the podcast?
I wouldn't say dirt, but definitely, hey, so and so this.
I think we should
what
do
are
a
you thinking?
podcast, because a lot of the stuff that I get is podcast material. I think because I get a lot of the, man, y'all are just rage baiting. Like there's no way that David feels that way, or there's no way DLH feels that way. and it's always like, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty interesting. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting them. I'm sure you're getting them, and I'm sure you're getting them. And I think if we bring it to the table, I think it would be perfect for this.
Yeah, I would welcome anyone who is listening here, particularly our brothers.
Yeah.
Feel free to text me directly.
Yeah, I get so many, and it's fun because some of them will text me. It's like, I'm about to listen to episode 8, and then I start getting texts every 10 minutes. You know, it's like, what? Y'all didn't talk about this? Oh my God! Like y'all missed this, or
I think it's because
glaring omission.
Because the people that I have talked about the podcast too, they will tell me either in person when I see them next, or they'll text me about it or whatever. But those are people I see, through the course of my usual day. Mm-hmm. But I know that you get a lot from our brothers that are listening. Right?
Yes.
So I would encourage. I'm not going to say what my number is right here, right now, but you can certainly get my number. But you can certainly get my number from Jaime if you want to get that done. But feel free to text me directly.
Yeah, I get everything.
I would welcome it.
And don't get me wrong, I love it. Keep sending it because I hope you understand.
Yeah, send it.
That if you had a comment about, hey, you guys need to do this or fix that, we have tried to kind of accommodate everyone. Look, we've spent hundreds of dollars on equipment here in the past month because
we're still trying to work out our sound.
DLH especially. Some of you that have texted me about DLH.
That's right. I hear it. I hear it from them all the time. And right now, I am speaking as close to the microphone as I possibly can.
But I thought, anyway, we'll get back on task. I think at some point we need to just bring the receipts. Bring that, like my daughter says, bring the tea on stuff that you got, because almost inherently I get. They do say some negative things about me, but mostly it's about you two guys, and it's funny because
because they're telling you.
I know, but I would love to hear the negative stuff that you get about us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
most of it's about Dave.
It's
Call it out.
So next podcast, we're gonna bring the tea.
To not drink during the podcast.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's not happening.
So if that's your criticism,
so if you're mad because I mess up a word or something like that.
Oh no, that's separate from drinking.
No, yeah, that happened when we weren't drinking.
Yeah, that's separate from drinking.
Anyway, all right, back to guilty
Just
pleasures.
keeping it real.
Podcasting could be a guilty pleasure, but it's not for us.
Yeah, no, loud and proud. Well, loud-ish.
Yeah, you're not loud.
I'm working on it.
Oh my God. Okay. So
I swear, if you come to one of my workout classes, I'm louder than this.
I doubt it. Everybody believes me that has heard you. And it's not just one person.
I
it's
swear.
like several people that's like, why is that brother whispering?
I do.
He's like, I think.
But I'm so loud. If you come to one of my classes at Energy X Fitness, that's where I'm at. Right, come see me over there. Shut up. I'm definitely loud in the fitness space.
This is DLH. Anthropologically speaking.
But
anthropologically speaking.
Anthropologically? When have I ever said that?
I'm just saying.
These guys are full of it. But we're fairly new to podcasting.
Yes.
And we're
3 months in.
And we're 3 months in, right? But we're just now doing our 11th or 12th episode, whatever it is.
11th or 12th, depending on which one goes first.
Yes. That's right. 11th or 12th episode. But it's still just trying to figure out the microphone sound.
It is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be before we started this venture. I know that David and I have talked about it forever, but getting into it is a little bit harder than maybe I didn't give those guys enough credit. But I will say this: I've watched a couple of Joe Rogan, and even they had microphone issues. So I was like, we're good. That's the number one podcast show in the nation, and they had microphone issues. His shit went out in the middle of it, and he's like, "Come fix my stuff," And I was like, "Okay, we haven't had that, so we're good."
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that I think we're still sorting out, being this early on, but it's fun.
It is. It will say it is.
It is fun.
It's something to do. So maybe a guilty pleasure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sure. We'll put it as that.
So
all right, back to our topic.
Right. So board approved. Have at least one guilty pleasure.
Have as many as you want.
So normalize guilty pleasures.
Let's normalize.
There you go.
Pleasures.
Normalize guilty pleasures.
Right.
David, what do you say?
And then they won't be guilty anymore. They'll just be pleasures, and we are hedonistic.
Yeah, I'm on the normalize it. It's not a big deal.
All right.
I couldn't hear you. You were whispering. You're too far
whispering.
from your
microphone.
microphone.
My God. We just have another problem.
I'm doing work.
Okay, so board approved. Normalize guilty pleasures. Board approved. There you go.
Nice.
And that's it. Thank you guys. We appreciate you sticking around this long. Join us next time for a totally other topic and different. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.